Hi guys, this is Julian Yoon from the Cool Mother Father vlog. And
Grace Jang.
okay, so who are you in this?
So I'm the mom,
And my wife.
and this is our son Preston.
Oh, so cute. But we have to be quiet right now because he's sleeping.
That's
And-
why I only have a picture.
This is the only time we can actually record. So what's today's topic about?
So we wanted to talk a little bit about who we are
Uh-huh.
and
Who are you? Who am I?
So this is my corny husband. So let's see. Preston is almost 9 months old.
Yeah, so on the 19th of this month, which is May 2018, he will be 9 months old. And that's actually a couple days after my birthday. So, okay. That was important.
Yeah. So a little bit about us. Julian is my very OCD husband who is type A and likes things to be a specific way.
A.
That's not an A. And has had to go through a very big adjustment with this new baby. So we thought it would be fun to do a blog. Not a blog, a podcast.
Well, we have a blog, and this is our podcast, part of the blog. So the blog will encompass everything. By the way, if I'm looking at my watch, it's because I have a picture of the video screen on my watch right here. So I'm just checking. So yeah, if you guys think that it's weird.
So why don't you tell them about me?
Okay, so this is Grace. When I first met her, she was I thought she was pretty type A in the sense that she wanted to do certain things. She had certain ways to do everything. She was really, okay, she wasn't type A. She was very laid back in that sense because she was, how would you say?
Go with the flow.
Go with the flow, yeah. And then when she became a mom, man, she's like total worry ward and like, I don't know. She's a different person, but I still love her. And yes, I said that L word.
So my day job is really different from my personality. So it's interesting because I do basically project management for a living.
Okay.
So that's why he thinks it's weird.
So what, are you bringing this project management aspect into our personal life with the baby, or?
Not really. I don't think I'm that type A like you.
Well, she always told me that I have a business side and a personal side, and it's just they're night and day, Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. But
Dr. Jekyll.
Is it Dr. Jekyll?
I don't think we're doing very well with like going off into tangents.
Anyways, point is, she's a great parent. She when we first decided to have kids and everything, everyone thought I'd be the more maternal parent here and she'd be the more not hands-on and stuff like that, but it actually flipped 180 degrees. It was really hard for me the first 6 months. She even said that I had postpartum depression, and maybe I did. It was really hard. I mean, it was hard to wake up. It was just hard to do anything, and I was complaining. She, to her credit, took over everything. The late shifts, she just took care of me too, and I can't thank her enough for that.
I think he's sucking up because it's Mother's Day.
Well, yeah, Mother's Day is coming up. Right now we're recording a couple days before Mother's Day.
So let me back up a little so people can understand how drastic this really was for Julian.
Please tell them about my depression.
When I first started dating Julian, he was really big on cleaning the house. He thought it was a lot of fun to clean, so he would make sure the place was spick and span. Loved doing the laundry, loved cleaning, vacuuming, everything. And he would make it a point to make dinner every night and like pack me lunch.
I still do it.
Do all these really maternal things that I totally was not. And so I thought, of course, this guy is going to be an amazing father. I mean, what?
Father of the year.
What could be so different? And then the baby came. And yeah, so I could tell he didn't want to really, he was exhausted all the time. He couldn't really do the night wakings because he was just so tired. Clearly I was tired too. But it was just obvious that his whole outlook was really different about life. So I thought, hey, maybe it makes sense to talk about it and for us to talk about the realities of having a baby. And I think since he's come a long way since then and started to like really enjoy time with our son, it's a really different perspective. So it's like a real honest perspective of what it's like.
Is it honest? Is it honest? Yes.
From the time he was born to now. So anyway,
I admit
the gist of it is, the reality is, even though you think somebody may be the perfect parent, turns out to be, it's completely different once you really have a kid. And
what are you saying? It's all about me and my trials and tribulations.
And it's just surprising, like what happens before and after the baby. Okay.
Let's segue. Enough about us. Let's actually talk about a topic today that I think is very it was one of our more popular blog posts, and it was about the sleep routines and putting baby to sleep. What I said was I like to do the real in and out routine where I would go in real quick, change his diaper, turn on the sound machine. I'd be like, "Hey Preston, good night. Daddy loves you. It's time for bed." And I put him down and I'm out of there. And I think it helped because it didn't give him enough time to process. Like I was in front of him, and he would just go to sleep, right? And I, there were some comments on Facebook and whatnot where they said that some people like the shorter version, some people like the longer version. I think Grace may have kind of thought that I was being inadequate as a father by not reading and not doing that kind of stuff.
Well, I think the main thing is I wanted to make sure that we did something consistently for nap time and bedtime, but I kept having struggles around how to make the bedtime routine the same for the nap time and for nighttime, and then figure out what part of the routine could be extended to give him time to fall asleep. So for me, I was thinking, well, what can we do to add on to the typical routine during nap time to signal to him that it's actually bedtime and give him a little bit of time to wind down and really fall asleep?
Well, I mean, I don't know if it's just because I'm a simpleton or a simple person. But I mean, do you know what Occam's razor is? Basically, it means the shortest explanation is like the best explanation. For me, you have nap times, you have sleep, nighttime, sleep time. You have all these routines. Just keep it short, keep it simple, and he'll learn. And it worked.
So part of everything about, I feel like, parenting is thinking about the short term and thinking about the long term.
Yes.
And I think that Julian in this case was thinking about the short term, and I'm thinking about the long game, which is when the baby starts growing older, you want to have bedtime and story time and time for him to wind down when he actually has, isn't a baby anymore, and like you can read to him. And it's really funny that we're talking about this day because I actually had a conversation with an old colleague of mine earlier today, and he was telling me how his kids are 5 and 9, And he said, even to this day, we still have issues with the kids waking up. And I was like, oh, really? And he goes, yeah, it's totally our fault. And I was like, what do you mean it's your fault? And he's like, well, I think that when we actually started with sleep training, we didn't let them cry it out enough. And we actually would just,
coddle them.
perpetuate them waking up all the time.
Ha! So my
but our son doesn't wake up at night.
He doesn't wake up, but my way worked. Okay, so I'll tell you this. This is how the sleep thing actually happened. Okay, you guys know it now. This is how it really happened. She can't deny it. She went on a work trip to, was it Washington D.C. for what? 3 days?
Yeah,
4 days?
something like that.
Right? In those 3 days, she was like, before she left, she was like, don't let the baby cry and sleep. Da da da. Okay.
I knew he was gonna sleep train the baby when I was gone.
I said I wouldn't. And look. And so I did it. I let him cry. Okay, now I didn't let him cry for 10 to 20 minutes or something like that, but I let him cry it out longer than her, where she would say like 2 seconds of crying. She'd run in like the flash and go, oh my God, Preston, are you okay? I let him cry for about 2 to 7 minutes. And it would be like a graduating scale. I mean, it would be like big and then small. And then that's when his nap sequences started to get more routine, and he actually started sleeping by himself. And when she came back, she was shocked because it worked, but I didn't really tell her I completely did. I just said, yeah, I let him cry a little bit, but it does.
What we'll show you guys later at the end of the podcast is the actual texts that went on between Julian and myself. So when he was actually doing the sleep training, I was at work.
We're not showing that text.
We're going to show it.
No,
and I totally was like...
How are you going to show a text on your phone? Like, you're going to do that?
Yes.
No, stupid.
It's so funny, though.
Just explain it then.
It's basically... we'll show it. I already think that's it.
Okay, no, we don't need to show it. What it basically said was, there's a monitor that we have, then it's connected to the internet, and she can check up. Okay, she's a snooper. She loves snooping and looking at voyeurism. I think she's a secret voyeur.
What are you talking about? That's a baby monitor.
Anyways,
for
so
checking up on your husband.
I was letting
your baby.
I was letting him cry a little bit, and then
I happened to be checking,
and she
while I was at work, because it was the first time that I had been away from the baby, which we can talk about on a separate topic. Traveling when you're a first-time mom.
Okay. Anyway, so man, she was like texting like crazy. Get Preston, he's crying. I'm sleep training him. It's working. So
next thing you know,
internet went out.
I'm looking at the baby monitor and it's not working. And so I'm texting our nanny.
Come on, we have Comcast cable, I think.
Somebody get my baby.
Yes, so the internet went out, and in quotes, it went out, and
next thing you know, he lies to me, and he's like, "Hey, I think it's working now." And of course, the baby's asleep.
Yeah, he's like sound asleep, like. So, look. Okay, so we were talking about sleep routines, but it went into this whole thing about sleep training. Okay, so there's two different things, people. There's a sleep routine to get the baby ready to go to bed, and then there's sleep training when you actually train the baby to sleep by themselves and be able to go by their own circadian rhythm and figure out when it's time to sleep. So,
and honestly, I think every baby is different. I think we lucked out in that our baby, even when he was younger, before we even tried the sleep training, he actually was able to put himself back to sleep. So our Preston's only problem was actually putting him to sleep the very first time. But after that, he wouldn't really not have a problem staying asleep.
Yeah.
So we lucked out in that aspect.
Yeah, I think we are blessed. We have a good kid. I never believed it for the first 6 months. And then Grace kept saying we had a good kid. And look, he's a good kid. Which is really funny. Today, Grace introduced me to one of her colleagues to help with real estate. And I'm a real estate broker by trade profession. And I met him for the first time. We're talking about Grace and we're talking about his family. And he actually he mentioned the fact that having a baby is like really hard. And like, he's just like, his first baby was so good. And then his second baby was so hard, right? And that's just like my main worry about if we have a second kid or when we have a second kid, if that's going to be the case. Because now, in retrospect, yes, our kid is like the greatest kid because he sleeps well, he eats well now, he does all that. But when we were dealing with it when he was first born, I thought he was like, oh my god, he's crying so much, something's wrong with him, he has colic. But anyways, I'm going now off on a different tangent, but I hope our next kid is just as good as Preston.
I think he's saying we're having another kid at some point.
Okay, they can't hear you. Like your voice isn't even registering on the monitor right there. You have to speak. If you're gonna fake,
I think they could hear it. That I said you might want to have another kid.
Okay. She said that I might want to have another kid, but we will see. I think I would like a Porsche before our next kid.
But I think our agreement is that he can't have a Porsche until we have $10 million.
Okay, so I need to go make 10 million friends and ask for $1 from each one, and then we'll be okay. All right, guys. So I think that should be the end of the podcast. We've been speaking for a little bit, and yeah. So thanks for tuning in, guys. Thanks for listening, or if you're watching on YouTube, thanks for watching. Subscribe and like our content. And for the podcast, if you could write a review, or if you could, just tell your friends about it, we'd really appreciate it. Okay, guys. So till next time, this is Julian signing out.
Bye.
Bye, guys.